the Zebec and Ripple partnership and the Zebec super app. A lot of news coming out today. So Zebec, the head associates, the head honchos over there at the Zebec, is supposed to be speaking in front of the UK Parliament tomorrow, the House of Lords. And so we're going to get into that. And we're also going to get into a little bit of this Twitter space that they just put out yesterday, introducing this integration of the RLUSD into their silver card. So this should be interesting. So first here, we got this UK Parliament hearing tomorrow. I just pulled up the flyer. I had to go digging for it. Couldn't really find it. It says here it's Whistleblowing Awareness Week. So this is insights. It says that Baroness Kramer meets Ukraine's Minister Alexander Vesweek to discuss the unique challenges facing Ukraine in its fight against crime and corruption. So a lot of this is supposedly having to do with regulation for trying to combat corruption. So we got this expert panel will discuss how Ukraine's office and whistleblower is championing speaking up and how incentives transformed outcomes. But you can see here at the bottom, it's got Zebec's logo here. And this isn't going to be live streamed, by the way, so it's just going to be updated, I guess, on Zebec's spaces. So let's go ahead and tap in with them and actually listen to what they came out with. Talking about this RLUSD integration and talking about a Ripple partnership, and then talking about how JP Morgan and Visa and MasterCard have been partners with them for a long time. Because right now they're actively doing pay cards and payroll right now. So a lot of people were calling that into question, and it kind of made the entire market plummet. After it just did a 6x. Some people called it a rug pull. Some people call it a consolidation. Call it what you will. But it's a Ripple partnership. They integrated the RLUSD. So bringing it to you here first. This news it just came out a few hours ago. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The Twitter space isn't too long, so if you guys want to go over there and check it out, go ahead and do it. But I'm just going to go ahead and jump through, just skipping parts to parts, whichever is kind of stands out as not being just fluff. So let's get started here.
Zebec is building. So when I refer to these puzzle pieces, what am I talking about? Well, for one, our partnerships, which we're going to dive deep into later in the spaces. But our partnerships are with leading infrastructure providers across crypto as well as TradFi. Companies like JP Morgan, MasterCard, Solana, Stellar, and of course Circle. We'll speak more on these later. The second puzzle piece is what I would call our acquisition strategy. So we've made 4 acquisitions in our short history as a company. Of course, PayBridge and School Payroll Services, which we did a deep dive on last month on our payroll spaces. And most recently, the acquisitions of GateKnox and ScienceCard, 2 leading technology firms here in Europe. And then the third pillar is our strategic hires and advisors. So we brought a number of new members onto the core team, mostly focused on engineering and product, as that is our number one priority as a company right now. We have Stelios Gerogianakis joining us from the London Stock Exchange, and he'll be contributing later on today in the spaces. And then, of course, our top tier advisors from TradFi, payroll, and government. We, of course, have multiple members of the ADP former C-suite on our board of directors. They are core to our long-term thesis in the payroll space. We have Wojtek, of course, who led GateKnox for many years and is our head of compliance and will be leading our SOC 2 and ISO initiatives. And most recently, we have Mr. Mark Turkington, who is the leader of transaction monitoring at HSBC, of course, one of the world's largest investment banks and wealth managers, who is also joining our advisory team. So going back to my point earlier, we are in a multi-year process here of building the future of finance. And of course, you can't do it without great people.
I love that. And I think, laying that context out more broadly and really like referring it to it as that big puzzle, I think it's really, really important because it re-emphasizes here the amount of work that actually goes into building an ecosystem like this. And I guess one of the other things I'm super curious about now, having got to hung out with you a few times, and I see you juggling and spinning these plates. It's very impressive. I guess, can you just tell me a little bit about, like, alongside building infrastructure like this, putting the technical pieces together, what other inroads you're making when it comes to bridging DeFi with, like, the institution that is kind of traditional finance?
Well, alongside all the great building we're doing, we're also working on essentially rewriting the rules of modern finance. And it's absolutely critical to have major institutions and governments on your side. Tomorrow, myself and Neil Padier, who leads our M&A group at Zebec, will be speaking in the UK's House of Parliament. We're invited by the Baroness Susan Kramer in support of UK Whistleblowers Week, and we'll be speaking alongside policymakers, legal experts, other members of government in tomorrow's session on tech, AI, and ethics, which starts at 12:30 p.m. UK time. Unfortunately, it's not a televised session, but we will have a recap and hopefully many good photos and videos from the session to share with our community. So to make inroads in any market, you need to develop relationships with leaders and policymakers. We focused a lot on the US market over the years, which of course is still our core market at Zebec. But with our global expansion now to the UK and Europe, we will be making further announcements this month as notable political figures join our advisory board. So do stay tuned for that. And as I mentioned in the first part, we've been very focused on these so-called puzzle pieces needed to execute on our ambitions. And we do have major plans this fall for a move in the London capital market. So a lot of exciting things happening on this side of the pond.
Awesome. Absolutely love it. And congrats, dude. Like, going into House of Parliament to speak and give, you know, essentially kind of like to advise the government on how to approach these things is no mean feat. Like, that is an incredible opportunity for you and for the Zebec team. I'm absolutely stoked for you. So
especially for a company really of our, you know, our short history, right? To already be in this level of government.
Are you all prepared? Are you ready to go?
Oh, we are more than prepared. We're extremely excited, and we're actually very honored to have this opportunity to even begin with.
100%. Well, congrats, man. I cannot wait to see that content. It sounds fantastic. I'm really, really looking forward to that. Okay, I want to jump into the next part. So that's like a nice introduction. Thank you so much for giving me an update on, and the audience an update on where we're at. I think it would be great now if we could just deep dive a little bit into the product roadmap. Obviously, you laid out this real like roadmap in terms of where we're going with Zebec, and now here we are in July. Like, you blink, and 7 months of the year have passed. So it'd be great, I think, if we can, to dig into a little bit about in terms of where we're going, what has actually been delivered versus what was, you know, hoped to be delivered. What's coming next, and how the roadmap is progressing. So I wondered if you want to touch on roadmap, super app vision, and then perhaps introduce some of our additional speakers. Now, I know we're also hoping Kian's going to come up, and I can see he's having trouble being able to stay up. So Kian, if you can hear me, one of the things that might be worth doing is just closing your app altogether and then coming back in and having another go. But Simon, do you want to just give us
Kian a second to reconnect? As I do think it's important for Kian and Stelios to speak to their phenomenal achievements on our roadmap.
The things that might be worth doing is
but
just
what's most exciting
closing
to me is,
app
of course,
altogether
super
and then coming back
which
in
is in
and having
production
another
right
go.
now.
But Simon, do you want to just give us
the super app on a few of our earlier spaces? And the vision for this app is really to build a Web3 native consumer financial management application that brings together payroll streams, card products, token wallets, and an integrated on and off ramp all in a single mobile app. Think of it as a Web3-based financial management application that brings nothing like this has ever been built before, and there's no card product that I believe is better positioned than Zebec to deliver on a product like this. So I'd love to turn it over to Kian and Stelios, think of it, our engineering lead and head of the Zebec Super App Initiative.
Yeah, I think initially we're going to have to do that with Stelios. So I can see you up here, Stelios. Can we get a mic check on you, sir?
Yeah, testing. 1, 2,
testing,
1, 2.
Testing. I can hear you perfectly.
Great.
Stelios, why don't you introduce yourself? Because you come with an incredible background. Would love to know a little bit more.
So I want to run that super app back. So this has got to do with, it's payroll, and it's like an exchange and a wallet all on an app. So this is what they're building out right now. I'm just going to run this back really fast so we can just listen to that.
In the session to share with our community. So to make inroads in any market, you need to develop relationships with leaders and policymakers. We focused a lot on the US market.
Congrats, dude. Like, how's it, like, going into House of Parliament to speak and give...
Extremely excited, and we're actually very honored to have this opportunity to even...
think, if we can, to dig into a little bit about like what has actually been delivered versus what was, you know, hoped to be delivered, what's coming next, and how the roadmap is progressing. So I wondered if you want to touch on roadmap, super app vision, and then perhaps introduce some of our additional speakers. Now, I know we're also hoping Kian's going to come up, and I can see he's having trouble being able to stay up. So Kian, if you can hear me, one of the things that might be worth doing is just closing your app altogether and then coming back in and having another go. But Simon, do you want to just give us...
Let's give Kian a second to reconnect, as I do think it's
exactly
important for Kian and Stelios to speak to their phenomenal achievements on our roadmap this year. But what's most exciting to me is, of course, the super app, which is in production right now. And we spoke about the super app on a few of our earlier spaces. And the vision for this app is really to build a Web3 native consumer financial management application that brings together payroll streams, card products, token wallets, and an integrated on and off ramp all in a single mobile app. Think of it as a Web3 based Revolut, but on steroids. Nothing like this has ever been built before, and there's no company that I believe is better positioned than Zebec to deliver on a product like this. So I'd love to turn it over to Kian and Stelios, our engineering lead and head of the Zebec Super App Initiative.
Yeah, I think initially we're going to have to do that with Stelios. So I can see you up here, Stelios. Can we get a mic check on you, sir?
Yeah, testing. 1, 2,
Testing,
1, 2.
testing. I can hear you perfectly.
Great.
Stelios, why don't you introduce yourself? Because you come with an incredible background. Would love to know a little bit more about you and your background and what you're bringing to Zebec before I get into some of these questions. And hopefully we can bring up Kian in the background.
Yeah, excited actually to be joining Zebec and be part of the journey. As a brief introduction, before joining Zebec, I was a principal engineer in London Stock Exchange Group in Data and Analytics Division. And before that, worked for a year with Ignite. Most people know it as Tendermint, as Senior Engineering Manager in the Atom Cosmos ecosystem. And before that, 2.5 years helped Go Cardless, payment scale-up process over $1 billion a month in direct debit payments. If someone's in the UK, you've probably interacted with them. And also helped RBS, working there for 4.5 years, launch their open banking APIs. But I'm not here to speak about myself, but rather about the super app. So
yeah, absolutely. And love that, by the way. Thank you so much. I mean, it sounds like you've got an incredible TradFi background, which is amazing, and really excited to see now how you want to come. Like, I was speaking earlier to another member of the team, and we were talking about this notion that, like, there are a lot of projects and protocols and people out there who are creating stuff who are really kind of like just full of hot air about what it is they're trying to do and not necessarily talking about how they're trying to marry up really what users want or need at the moment from a decentralized finance platform like Zebec. And I think it's really exciting that you come with so much knowledge and experience in terms of what does and doesn't work from a TradFi perspective, but that you're all in on DeFi. And I think that's amazing. I think it's a really, really bold step. And I'd love to get into that a little bit more with you. I think we're not going to have Kian up, it looks like. So that's a shame. We can bring him up a bit later on. So Simon, I'm just going to brief you to kind of like be ready to step in a little bit. But Stelios, I'm going to ask a little bit then about perhaps a few questions about the super app and some of the rest of the roadmap, like particularly like in terms of our pacing. Like we're past halfway through 2025 now, and I know you come in at this point. Like, how are we pacing versus the roadmap that we projected before we then get into what the super app is all about and what it will provide? And Simon, feel free to jump in at any point during that.
Yeah, so far we have been delivering ahead of what has been promised, for example, staking. And now I will go back to what Simon said, which is the puzzle pieces, which is a great, great metaphor, because the pieces of the super app have been there. Credit cards, staking, payroll, and what we are doing now with the super app is bringing everything under one roof while building a solid foundation. So we're starting with a web interface accessible from a browser, and a little bit later, because it's a bit more involved, we're going to also roll out the mobile application. And we will not just stop there. We've launched one and we're done. This is a journey because there are multiple payment rails, multiple integrations, multiple chains, and we will continue to be rolling out features and integrations.
Amazing. I mean, the super app sounds really, really exciting. All apps under one umbrella, a real focus on user experience. I know when we were speaking with Wojtek a few weeks ago, and we were talking about compliance, his number one focus when it comes to like getting compliance right is to focus on the user experience, because that's what makes or breaks someone wanting to actually go through the compliance process. So what's it been like, building or specking out what that super app's going to look like, and what else can we expect in Q3 or Q4 this year?
So building it up is because the pieces have already been there and there's already been real use and volume moving through the system. I think it was you that mentioned this is not hot air. There's already been use on the sites, and we've already seen, like, for example, what are the pain points, and on the other side, conversely, what are the opportunities with regards to growth. So we're bringing this in with in terms of requirements to basically spec out features, iron out problems, and bring this out as a seamless experience. It's not going to be, of course, like perfect on the first go. Nothing is. But the goal is here to have a nice, great, usable app that will allow us to onboard masses and masses of people and grow the community, and also do it in a safe, compliant way.
Love that. Love that. And I'm really excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah, and another thing that they're about to go over is that they're about to get compliant with the ISO 20022 standard. And he only just briefly touches on it really fast. He doesn't, he just says, oh yeah, I have somebody working on our ISO compliance. So that's another thing definitely coming down the pipeline. And since then, you could see it definitely reflected in the price. It's shot up this morning. And this is it's definitely an interesting project, to say the least. It ended up going up about 6x, 7x, came down, had some news on it, some questions, because there still are some questions about it. And I'm curious to know, because this is the first time that I've actually watched it. I watched some of the beginning all the way up until the first half. But one of the questions that was raised was they have about 60% of the tokens in just in just a few wallets that are owned by upper management, and I'm assuming the founder, maybe the investors. I don't know. There's Coinbase Ventures that's involved in it. There's a couple early investors. He says that forget who his name is. Not Simon. Yeah, actually Simon. He says that Stellar was an early investor too. So I don't know if that 60% has to do with the investors, if it's the investors' wallets, or not. Nobody's really been too clear about that. I know there's some real nerds out there that are going in depth and finding out and tracking all the wallets and the transactions, but I don't know if that's been recognized whose wallets they actually belong to. But it still is a question. 60%, people kind of freak out whenever it's like 7 or 8% that's held inside of a wallet. That's considered, too much for a lot of people. So 60% is pretty high. But that's the thing, is that Ripple has it in escrow. And one of the biggest things that made XRP collapse was when it was it came to light that the exact same thing. There was a huge majority of the tokens were very centralized in a small amount of wallets, and it made the price completely crash. And so, and then they decided to put it into escrow, and then the price jumped. So, huge jump. So, but this isn't in an escrow. Zebec doesn't have it in an escrow. So a lot of people are concerned that it's going to be a rug pull. But just bringing you guys a live stream. Let's get back to it. So just listen for this ISO compliance, okay? Because he says that, oh yeah, we have a team working on it, or it's a guy working on the ISO compliance. Try to listen out for that. Oh, come on, don't fail me now. Come on, don't fail me now. Jeez, sorry guys. If you guys are watching this on replay, probably fast forward to 10 seconds. Jeez, but for everybody tapped in live, I'm sorry. Well, good time to plug the channel.
I'm sure, as you say, it will be something that iterates and there are many versions of, but I think bringing everything together under one umbrella is a really, really exciting prospect. When you think about all of the different puzzle pieces, to use Simon's analogy, I think that's awesome. Okay, little nerdy question then from me, as someone who really enjoys like the technically challenging things. Like, what from a tech perspective, Stelios, what has been really challenging to kind of like to nail down when it comes to building the super app, or what's been the most impressive to kind of manage? What's been the most exciting part of this process so far?
Well, I don't know. The exciting parts are also the boring parts, if you like. Because we are handling people's money, and the exciting part is also the boring part. Like, you want to be able to handle all transactions, have many nines of uptime, not just have flashy features, but make sure that every person that onboards to the application, they get their money on the other side. So this is basically the most challenging bit and also the most exciting bit. We are handling people's money, which is important.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think people should take a lot of comfort in knowing that what excites us the most is doing this, doing the boring things, because they're the most important things. You're absolutely right. Simon, I wondered if you wanted to kind of, I guess, come in and then touch on a little bit more about what you think the super app provides the community at large, but also like potential new users as well to Zebec. Like, what is it that you're trying to deliver here by building this hub out?
Well, the super app is going to be the ultimate way for Zebec to attract retail users at a mass scale. When you think about it, right? It brings all of these great tools that we've built into a seamless, consumer-friendly mobile application that people will use to manage their payroll, manage their cards, and really get more familiar with crypto in general. So we're very excited to be rolling it out later this year, and we're going to be tracking really closely metrics on usage, as building great product is one thing, but having that product used in the real world is a whole different story. And at Zebec, we're extremely proud of the metrics that we've achieved this year. Hundreds of clients are using us for our payroll tools. We've done over 100 card white label opportunities this year. And we're seeing the volumes grow month over month. So with the super app, we can expect these numbers to grow even further.
Love it. Love it. Very excited. Can't wait to get involved with it. As a user of Zebec myself, I think it will be really exciting. So, Stelios, thank you so much for coming up and joining us there. We look forward to bringing you back to talk more technically about some of these things as you get closer to rolling them out. But it's great to meet you and great to have someone of your experience come and join us. So thanks so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you. Simon, we are, 20 minutes into what we think will be about a 45-minute session. So we've got 25 minutes left. I think that's probably good time now to jump into some of the community Q&A stuff. I know we put some messages out there to try and kind of curate a list of questions. I see JJ has presented me with those questions, which is great.
So JJ has gone out and spoken with a few members of the community, has organized some of the priority questions that they'd like the team to address, and that is exactly what we're going to do now in the end of the spaces.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go through them in order. I've got a few here. Haven't read these yet, so I'm going to familiarize myself now. Okay, right. What can you tell us, this is to Simon, or give us to confirm partnerships with Cotapay, JPM, Bank of America? These are all really exciting names as well, Simon. So, how are those things going at the moment?
So these companies have all been partners of Zebec and PGP for multiple years now, and they are core to the processing of payroll for our enterprise clients, of course, alongside Circle for on and off-ramp functionality. So this is not new news. These are companies that we've been working with for years now, and we plan to continue to work with and expand our relationship going forward.
Love it. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, another one for you, Simon. Does Zebec intend on opening the door to other stable coins?
So here's where they talk about this this RLUSD integration into it and the Ripple partnership aside. But that last question, he didn't really answer that too good. Like, what proof do we have that you have all these partnerships with all these people? And he just said, well, we've had these partnerships forever. I mean, if they got a card, if they're doing payroll, if the people are actively on it, on their system, through the corporations that they have managed to acquire, PayBridge, because PayBridge has an app. If there's money pumping through that and people actually have cards, I mean, they got some sort of partnerships. I mean, that's off the ground, but that wasn't really a good answer. But this is where they talk about the Ripple partnership, and they don't really say a whole lot. They just say, hey, look, we integrated the RLUSD, which is good, another stable coin, in the mix. A lot of people are going to jump that price off of hype alone. But the Ripple partnership is what everybody's kind of waiting on. But either way, Ripple partnership aside, if they got cards, they got official partnership with Ondo. You go on the Twitter space on the Ondo Twitter, official Ondo Twitter. And so, yeah, that last question, you didn't really answer that too good. How do we know? Give me some proof that you guys have these partnerships. Well, we've had them for years. Oh, okay, all right. But moving on, let's listen to this Ripple partnership and this RLUSD integration. Let's check it out. Of course, we're just gonna end up stalling out. Well, good time to plug the channel, I think. So check me out on the Twitter. I got about 4 followers. Just started it. It's looking pretty lonely over here. We're looking pretty lonely. Why don't you guys go ahead and join me? I'm just gonna start posting the live streams, posting the videos on here. I don't know if I'm really gonna engage too much. I don't know. I don't really like all the back and forth and stuff. So might just post the work and kind of see what happens, I guess. But if this thing will ever finally want to load. Let's see. And this whole thing with the House of Lords and the UK Parliament, it's kind of like, I don't know. It just seems like it's fighting crime and corruption, and it's kind of a closed door meeting. They don't really have any. It's not like Parliament TV like they have, where you can see all the other ones. This one's kind of closed door. So it says here that it's about in regulation and corporate compliance. But when you look on the flyer, it says that it's about corruption, crime and corruption. So it very well could be the same thing. You need good compliance if people are trying to use crypto for nefarious purposes, and they got to rein in on that. So it very well could be. I'm not
such
saying,
as
let's keep this show on the
FIUSD,
road.
RLUSD,
back this up a little
JPMD, etc.
They'd like the team
So
to
this is where they
address,
talk
and that
about
is
the
exactly what we're going to do
RLUSD
now in
integration
the
and the
end of the
Ripple
spaces.
partnership.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go through them in order. I've got a few here. Haven't read these yet, so I'm going to familiarize myself now. Okay, right. What can you tell us? This is to Simon, or give us to confirm partnerships with Cotapay, JPM, Bank of America. These are all really exciting names as well, Simon. So, like, how are those things going at the moment?
So these companies have all been partners of Zebec and PGP for multiple years now, and they are core to the processing of payroll for our enterprise clients, of course, alongside Circle for on and off-ramp functionality. So this is not new news. These are companies that we've been working with for years now, and we plan to continue to work with and expand our relationship going forward.
Love it. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, another one for you, Simon. Does Zebec intend on opening the door to other stable coins, such as FIUSD, RLUSD, JPMD, etc.? Where are we at with that? Because no doubt about it, right? The stable coin narrative is one that has really kind of like
Sorry, guys. I don't know what's
pushed on now. Like it seems to really be kind of setting a light. Like what's Zebec kind of like stance on it?
Well, you need to remember that Zebec is the original provider of stable coin payroll. So all of this great regulatory progress on stable coins in the US is extremely bullish for us.
So they're the original stablecoin payroll people. The original, the OGs.
And what we're building. Circle is an early
So I gotta say, I'm gonna pause the video really fast. I gotta say that there are other debit card cryptos out there that are providing debit cards. Alchemy Pay is partnered with MasterCard and Visa too. They're at about 2 cents, which is like their bottom is like 2 cents. So really, it's like 10x the price from where Zebec is right now. But they have 10 times more coins in circulation. So it's kind of like 10 times the price, but 10 times more of the coins in circulation. And they're already integrated with RLUSD also. They got the RLUSD integration, and that news just came out a couple weeks ago, and there was no price action for the RLUSD news. So, I don't know. And they're partnered with Alchemy's partnered with I think Apple Pay, Google Pay. So they got some pretty good partnerships too. So they're not the only one. So I don't know. Zebec says that they're the OGs of the stablecoin. It might be stablecoin payroll. Maybe they're just doing payroll. I don't think Alchemy Pay is doing payroll. I think they're just doing like debit card and credit card. So that very well could be true then. I don't know. They could be the OGs. I think there was one other one that was trying, but I think they're not even in the game anymore. So very well could be. Very well could be. Let's try to play this again and see if it actually works this time. I might just have to like completely reset the stream, or not reset the stream, but reset the page. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna reset the page. We'll see. And it's just gonna start working as soon as I try to refresh the page. Watch. I already know it. I already know it. I don't know. I just recently downloaded something on my computer, so maybe I got one of those viruses. But I got pretty good virus software, so I don't know. We'll see. But now it just doesn't even want to work at all. As soon as we get to the juicy stuff, as soon as we get to the RLUSD news, it ends up just fragging out on me. Of course, go figure. But yeah, I don't know, with this super app, it's kind of one of those things where that's really going to be the make or break. It's kind of like whenever any crypto company says they have a new protocol coming out. It's kind of like everybody's waiting on them to deliver. You know what I mean? And then if it comes out and it's a flop, a lot of people sell on the news though. So they'll have like, oh yeah, we got this protocol coming up, it's huge, and then as soon as the protocol drops, the price just slumps too. Like it'll spike and then it just comes right back down. So I am just not able to even do anything right now. I'm just completely like locked out on the stream. But appreciate you guys joining in. Guess we could see what the heck else is going on. So they got some new team members too. That's the thing. All this stuff doesn't make price movement, but it makes it look more legit. There was a lot of questions as to like how legit this company was. You know, they don't. They have like a gar. You know, on the same page as Ripple. They have like a Garling house. This guy Sam Tripoli. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. But he comes out, but they don't really know the dev team. That's the thing. Is like a lot of people don't really know the full Ripple dev team, but they have like dozens of offices. And I think almost 24 offices. I don't want to say dozens of offices, but it's one of those things. A lot of people know like David Schwartz, and that's kind of like the extent of it. And a couple other, Arthur Brito and a couple other people. Let's see here. This thing is just not wanting to cooperate with me today. I can't even get it to do anything at all. I legit can't even get it to do anything. Just gonna go back. So very unprofessional. Let's see here. Duplicate the tab, see if that works. Yeah, I guess we'll just keep the stream going. See with this thing here, I don't really know if it's if this meeting here has really anything to do. I'm not trying to put out FUD. I mean, the Zebec team name's at the bottom, and for you to get in with Parliament, it's got to be at least halfway legit. So, but still, crime and corruption, I don't know. Remember Ukrainian Parliament, Australian Parliament, founding partner. Yeah, so it's let's see if we have any more. We have Computer Weekly at the bottom. Yeah, the worst part is that I don't know if anybody could just sponsor this. Like if you could be like, hey, I'm Computer Weekly, I'll pay the UK Parliament some money, just let me be at the bottom of your flyer. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. This is about whistleblowing, and it says no, as part of compliance and governance. Okay, understanding whistleblowing is part of compliance and governance. But still, that's whistleblowing as part of compliance and governance. I don't know. We're going to have to find out, I guess. So I'm just completely not getting anything right now. Like nothing at all. My computer is just completely frozen up. So that was terrible. I feel like I can't even just end the stream without actually providing what the headline, what the title of the video is. Like, I feel I'm just completely. Yeah, this is. I don't know. Nothing's working. I'm shot out, guys. I'm just gonna have to open a whole new window here.
Investor in Zebec and a longtime partner, as I mentioned.
There we go. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Now it's just like wants to just stop. Okay, now it wants to work. It's because I opened up another window and it just couldn't take me actually trying to go through another window where it was like, all right, we're going to work now. I don't even want to count my chickens before they hatch here because this might not even work. This is so terrible. Yeah, but it's been a pretty busy news day. It's supposed to be crypto week. Like, that's supposed to start July 14th, but that live stream with that committee hearing, there weren't a lot of people that were they were actually raising some really good questions. A lot of people try to break it up into like a left-right thing, and it's really not, because this very well could just turn into a real slippery slope if a lot of things aren't taken into account, you know, like monetary sovereignty and compliance for investors. I mean, a lot of people lose a lot of money when these exchanges just decide to close their doors. And so I don't think they want to do that. But then again, the banks want to play with crypto. So I know that they want regulation too. That's kind of the whole push. And one of the representatives, I can't remember his name, he made like a really good point. He was like, well, tell me why we even have to regulate this. You just want us to regulate it, so we have to stick our nose in it and then basically give you guys away. And that's kind of the idea. A lot of these developers don't want to be towing the line of going to prison because they're developing something. But at the same time, as soon as you get Congress involved and you start regulating, then it's like more regulation, and the next thing you know, it can mess a lot of things up. Like one of the representatives was saying that, well, hey, look, you're basically saying that it's a commodity when it's digitized, but then it's a security whenever it's not digitized. When it's on Wall Street, it's a security, but then as soon as you digitize, instead of having a one stock of Tesla, as soon as it's one digital stock, all of a sudden it's commodity, which really made a good point. It basically is just saying that everything can be a commodity as long as it's digitized. And a lot of people would like that, but it's one of those things. Whenever something's a commodity, it's completely different rules. Completely different rules whenever you're talking about something's a commodity. So, all right, let's try to go back down here and get this Twitter page started again. We were about 24 minutes in, so we're gonna back it up to the 24-minute mark. Let's get this guy going again. So I don't know. We'll see. It might have been on the 14th because maybe the 7th probably they knew it was gonna be pretty bad news for everybody, because there wasn't a whole lot of bullishness in the committee today. A lot of grilling was happening. So let's get back to this.
And it sounds fantastic. I'm really, really looking forward. Weeks ago, we were talking about compliance. Puzzle pieces to use. Weeks ago, we were talking about compliance. His number one focus when it comes to like getting compliance right is to focus on the user experience, because that's what makes or breaks someone wanting to actually go through the compliance process. So what's it been like, building or speccing out what that super app's going to look like, and what else can we expect in Q3 or Q4 this year?
So building it up is because the pieces have already been there and there's already been real use and volume moving through the system. I don't know, I think it was you that mentioned this is not hot air. There's already been use on the sites, and we've already seen, like, for example, what are the pain points? And on the other side, conversely, what are the opportunities with regards to growth? So we're bringing this in in terms of requirements to basically spec out features, iron out problems, and bring this out as a seamless experience. It's not going to be, of course, like perfect on the first go. Nothing is. But the goal is here to have a nice, great, usable app that will allow us to onboard masses and masses of people and grow the community, and also do it in a safe, compliant way.
Love that. Love that. And I'm really excited to see what that looks like. I'm sure, as you say, it will be something that iterates and there are many versions of, but I think bringing everything together under one umbrella is a really, really exciting prospect. When you think about all of the different puzzle pieces, to use Simon's analogy, I think that's awesome. Okay, little nerdy question then from me, as someone who really enjoys like the technically challenging things. Like, what from a tech perspective, Stelios, what has been really challenging to kind of like to nail down when it comes to building the super app, or what's been the most impressive to kind of manage? What's been the most exciting part of this process so far?
Well, I don't know. The exciting parts are also the boring parts, if you like. Because we are handling people's money, and the exciting part is also the boring part. Like, you want to be able to handle all transactions, have many nines of uptime, not just have flashy features, but make sure that every person that onboards to the application, they get their money on the other side. So this is basically the most challenging bit and also the most exciting bit. We are handling people's money, which is important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think people should take a lot of comfort in knowing that what excites us the most is doing this, doing the boring things, because they're the most important things. You're absolutely right. Simon, I wondered if you wanted to kind of, I guess, come in and then touch on a little bit more about what you think the super app provides the community at large, but also like potential new users as well to Zebec. Like, what is it that you're trying to deliver here by building this hub out?
Well, the super app is going to be the ultimate way for Zebec to attract retail users at a mass scale. When you think about it, right? It brings all of these great tools that we've built into a seamless, consumer-friendly mobile application that people will use to manage their payroll, manage their cards, and really get more familiar with crypto in general. So we're very excited to be rolling it out later this year, and we're going to be tracking really closely metrics on usage, as building great product is one thing, but having that product used in the real world is a whole different story. And at Zebec, we're extremely proud of the metrics that we've achieved this year. Hundreds of clients are using us for our payroll tools. We've done over 100 card white label opportunities this year. And we're seeing the volumes grow month over month. So with the super app, we can expect these numbers to grow even further.
Love it. Love it. Very excited. Can't wait to get involved with it. As a user of Zebec myself, I think it will be really exciting. So, Stelios, thank you so much for coming up and joining us there. We look forward to bringing you back to talk more technically about some of these things as you get closer to rolling them out. But it's great to meet you and great to have someone of your experience come and join us. So thanks so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Simon, we are, 20 minutes into what we think will be about a 45-minute session. So we've got 25 minutes left. I think that's probably good time now to jump into some of the community Q&A stuff. I know we put some messages out there to try and kind of curate a list of questions. I see JJ has presented me with those questions, which is great.
So JJ has gone out and spoken with a few members of the community, has organized some of the priority questions that they'd like the team to address, and that is exactly what we're going to do now in the end of the spaces.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go through them in order. I've got a few here. Haven't read these yet, so I'm going to familiarize myself now. Okay, right. What can you tell us? This is to Simon. Or give us to confirm partnerships with Cotapay, JPM, Bank of America. These are all really exciting names as well, Simon. So, like, how are those things going at the moment?
So these companies have all been partners of Zebec and PGP for multiple years now, and they are core to the processing of payroll for our enterprise clients, of course, alongside Circle for on and off-ramp functionality. So this is not new news. These are companies that we've been working with for years now, and we plan to continue to work with and expand our relationship going forward.
Love it. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, another one for you, Simon. Does Zebec intend on opening the door to other stable coins, such as FIUSD, RLUSD, JPMD, etc.?
All right, here we
where
go,
are we at
guys.
with that? Because
Where are we at
no
with
doubt
that?
about it, right? The stablecoin narrative is one that has really kind of like pushed on now. Like it seems to really be kind of setting a light. Like what's Zebec's kind of like stance on it?
Well, you need to remember that Zebec is the original provider of stablecoin payroll. So all of this great regulatory progress on stablecoins in the US is extremely bullish for us and what we're building. Circle is an early investor in Zebec and a longtime partner, as I mentioned in our last spaces. USDC is core to all of our products. It's core to our ecosystem. It's core to our payroll. And we're not going to be giving up on USDC. It is always going to be there. That being said, there are other stable coins that are coming into the market now, which we are evaluating, potentially working with. In fact, the RLUSD, so the Ripple stablecoin, we've actually integrated it on our Silver card. And of course, we've been in talks with Ripple for the past few months on a product launch, which we're working on with them as well. And more will be revealed on that when we are ready.
Okay, awesome. So we're down the line with a lot of that. And obviously, as you say, we're kind of the original payroll provider when it comes to stables. So yeah, really, really exciting. Great answer. Thank you so much for that. Sam, welcome. Mic check.
Hey. Thank you, Ben and Simon's like answering amazing questions. I'm just like wondering how many questions are left, because
we've got a couple left. I've got one that I've got one that I've seen here that I really would like you to answer, actually. And I think the reason I'd like you to answer it is because obviously, like, all of this is the brainchild of you and the team here, and putting, like, spinning it into reality is. I spoke to Simon at the top of the call and said, I'm really interested to know what it means to you to put something together like this. And I think, you must sit back now a few years in and be really, really proud of the progress that you and the team have been making. I guess, how often do you remind yourself, and could you go into a bit of detail about like what you think is now really, really special about Zebec's tech stack?
So I think like right now Solana is such a hot technology, right? And everyone thinks that everything was obvious, right? Like how easy it is to write smart contract, like how easy it is to audit, right? How easy the wallets were. When we were building, right, on Solana, there was Solid wallet, right, that was built by FTX, and sometimes the token that you have in your wallet would not be visible because the RPC was not working properly. So right now, everyone builds on like Anchor framework, which is makes doing formal testing and building smart contracts so easy. When we were building, Anchor Framework was just coming along. There were like less than 50 teams. I would say like 30-ish team that was actually writing smart contract. The Solana's builder group chat had like less than 100 people in. And like Anatoly and Raj used to like, actively post in there. And there were less than 3 companies that could properly audit smart contract. In fact, like it was so hard to write smart contract on Solana that we actually hired like auditors to actually write contracts because that was the only safe way to do it. So our early devs were actually all auditors. Uh, so that's how we got started. And what it means that is like it has the fun part about being the first one to do things is you have a chance of actually battle testing your smart contract over the years. You audit multiple times. In fact, we have spent almost millions of dollars auditing it, which is more than what a lot of people actually raise capital. Right? We have spent more money on auditing our smart contract than what most people have raised money on. So what also means is now it gives us ability to focus on things that really matters. Because what happens in crypto and Web3 in general is people will build things, they will kind of throw it out there to the small group of Web3 user, which is like 100-ish thousand of people. And you have this giant musical chair of capital flowing from protocol A to protocol B to protocol C, but you don't grow the pie. And we have taken a much more different approach is let's battle test the smart contracts, let's build something that is stable, right, and then go where it actually means, and where the users are actually there. So it means like going out there, have a proper compliance framework built in, right? So that's kind of is like secret sauce of Zebec is like you have been out there for such a long time. You have spent such a long time plus effort plus capital on battle testing the product. Now you get to spend a substantial amount of resource to get it compliant, get licenses, and most importantly, being able to make the user experience so easy that at some point in the future, we expect that like Zebec will power applications that makes users not even, like the crypto aspect of Zebec and Web3 should be completely hidden from users. And I think that's the path that we're headed to. And I think that's kind of the secret sauce of Zebec.
Yeah, I love that. And what's great is that like to hear you say that and to know that then every single person I ever speak to that now works with, for, advises, etc. with Zebec says the same thing. Like the focus is always about the user experience. It's about building something that users will intuitively want and know how to use. And I think that's what's really, really exciting here. And as you say, like the amount of energy and finance that you've put into building, rebuilding, auditing all of those smart contracts to make this work is really, really exciting. So thank you for that. I've got another one for you in a minute, Sam, but first I've got another one for you, Simon. We obviously had Wojtek up, who was the founder of GateKnox, which is the obviously the business that's been recently acquired by Zebec, and he's come in to advise and consult and to lead the charge when it comes to compliance. Any updates or any kind of like timeline for things? What are we talking about here? There was SOC 2. I remember he spoke about that one. There's ISO 2022. There's possible, I don't know how to pronounce this, MICA compliant. There's all kinds of things that I think are really important. Where are we at with all of that?
We are extremely fortunate to have Wojtek now leading our compliance vertical. He's been with us for the past month since we closed our acquisition of GateKnox, the compliance suite in early June. And Wojtek and our team have been incredibly busy with SOC 2 compliance, which is really the first step in moving towards full ISO certification, which is still our goal towards the end of the year. And SOC 2, for those who do not know, is the gold standard in
Moving towards full ISO compliance towards the end of the year. First first taking care of the SOC. So I just wanted to stop that and reiterate that point. So, and it's probably going to have to be, because if they plan on moving any kind of digital assets over the SWIFT system across borders and being compliant, they're going to have to be ISO compliant. I mean, they're going to have to, everybody's got to migrate. So, just wanted to point that out really fast. Because, especially if they're going to be moving any kind of stable coins. So with the stablecoin regulation, it's a given. They're going to have to get ISO compliant. So, and especially if Stellar is an early investor, and Stellar was on the standards body of the ISO board. So, sorry guys, technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. That's the whole thing about these live streams, is that can't edit anything out.
Corporate compliance and privacy, which is very important for a company like Zebec that manages customer data and customer funds. So our goal is to have SOC 2 compliance complete by the end of July, and we are on track to do that. And then on the MiCA topic, given that we do operate now in the UK and Europe, we are in the process of finalizing MiCA compliance with regulators. We have completed our MiCA white paper. It is under review with multiple regulatory bodies, and we are hoping to receive the green light on that at some point this year.
Love that. I can see
And I think we have
Wojtek is up on
Wojtek
stage.
yes.
Yeah, this guy's not a very good
Yeah.
host.
How you doing,
Hey
Wojtek?
guys. Hey Ben, how are you? Hey Simon.
Very
Thanks
well,
for having me
sir.
back here.
It's always my pleasure to have you back here, Wojtek. Do you
Nice
want to
hearing
just...
this. Yeah. I wanted because this question is actually quite interesting. So I wanted to address it maybe in a slightly different. I mean, the question about SOC 2 and why SOC 2.
Sure.
And the answer is fairly simple if you think about this in two aspects. So the ISO brings us to transferring valuable content, which consists of highly detailed digital information. It's not just money, it's also invoice details, tax information, and so on and so forth. So if you think about this as a content, you can think about SOC as a secure container. So SOC addresses security in Zebec systems, in processes and procedures. So thinking about this from a perspective of having the content delivered that has huge value, you want customer data to be secure. And to prove the security, we decided to go with SOC 2 certification, which is a standard for the US market. It's becoming more and more recognizable in Europe as well. That is essentially proving that the Zebec infrastructure processes and procedures can maintain the customer information in a secure manner.
Love it. All very, very important. And you're happy with progress, Wojtek? You trucking along? We're feeling good about getting this over the line in 2025?
Oh, definitely. We're getting good progress. Obviously, there are always some surprises, and we probably are gonna have few more when the audit starts. That's the key thing also that has been mentioned last time that we spoke by uh, Nick, as far as I remember, that
Yeah.
stock has this unique value of actually not being only the framework, but to get certified, you need to go through the quite rigorous audit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, thank you so much for coming up again. We're going to
Thanks.
drag you up here regularly to give us updates on this because I know how important it is to what Zebec's mission is. So, but really appreciate you taking the time today. Thanks for coming up and great to see you.
I'm always happy to join. Thanks, guys.
Love it. I have another one for Sam. This is an interesting one. So obviously there was the Nautilus chain sale, and I think a few people within the community have just said like, why did that happen? What went down there when it came to the Nautilus chain sale?
So I think there's like a interesting thing you want to look into, right? Payroll itself is like is such a big market. I mean, if you want to cut and dice it like in many times, you will still have multi-billion-dollar market. And what does that mean is you need absolute focus because in last, I would say, year or so, we have kind of seen the regulatory pathway open up for stablecoin and stablecoin related payments 10 times more, right? So what this means is Zebec was one of the projects, like one of the several projects incubated by Zebec, right? We had absolutely like we have multiple other projects that we tried to because our ultimate goal is how can we push stablecoin payments and how can we get stablecoin payroll out, right? So what really it meant for us was uh, we have to go back to focus on payroll, right? And another thing we also came to realization was we support almost 10 chains, right? And they're all tier one chains. In fact, 95% of all Web3 users are in those 10 chains. I think focusing to get those, right, and lock in this payroll opportunity completely for Zebec is much more important, right, than expanding in any other fronts. Like think of this as like a battlefield, right? And the idea is who takes whose flank, right? And right now we are in that crux of this stablecoin payroll battle. Whoever takes the flank, after that the opportunity just cascades down for them. They complete whoever captures it on either side is able to get it completely. And we believe stablecoin payroll is the most important thing. Whoever wins this, right, wins the entire internet capital market game for whatever the opportunity that lies with crypto. Because we believe this whole thing's about trading and all the other stuff is rather of like a short-term phenomenon, right? Over the long run, the the one who decides how you get paid and the one who is enabling that is able to go down the hierarchy and vertically capture the entire market, right? So for us, focusing on that, is much more noble and much more important goal. So hence we had to exit from that.
Yeah, I think I mean, you can't get more transparent than that, right? It's about focus. It's about making sure that we keep our eye on the biggest prize of all and set the business up in a manner that really goes after that. And I think that's incredible. Like, what kind of size market is that, Sam? Like, what are you guys you're looking at here from a let's just talk in payroll terms. I know you've mentioned, I think I've heard various numbers before, but in your mind, like what kind of size market is that at the moment in terms of value?
So the way we look into this is right. Everyone, in fact, like I would say 90% of all the capital that exists in the world is some sort of payroll, right? It's like almost $11 trillion in payroll volume a year, right? It means at any time, right, payroll float is in like not in billions, not in hundred of billions. It's actually almost in $1 trillion range. So whoever captures this captures everything else. Like nothing really matters if you are able to capture the payroll industry itself, because it opens up opportunity on being able to be the one who enables card, the way you spend the money, the way the money that you're spending is, i.e., like what stablecoin that is being spent on, right? Everything that connects to the user, you are the one who is able to vertically integrate that. So it's a very
That's
very it's a
wild.
very very big number. In fact, like it kind of like amazes us to even think about that. Like, it's like, hey, you know, it's like much higher,
It was a
much
bit
higher number than entire crypto market combined.
right. It was a bit why I was kind of a bit nervous to say it, because I was like, is that real? But 11 trillion. Dollars, like as an overall kind of payroll piece. And then you're absolutely right? Whoever is able to capture that then has the dialogue and the ability to create vertical products and services that complement it, and you're in the best position to be able to do so. I think it's such an amazing opportunity. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sam. Really appreciate it. Simon, I got two left, both of them for you. So first one is, what companies currently utilize Zebec payroll? We've read about the $500 million in volume. Where how is that derived?
It's a great question, and I encourage everyone who was not on our spaces in early May to listen to our payroll spaces, where we brought on Tony Chavals, who runs Paybridge, which is one of the businesses that Zebec and PGP acquired 2 years ago now. And we spoke on that spaces about the fact that we serve over 200 enterprise clients in just the payroll side. And of those 200, you can break them down into a number of different verticals. So for example, we serve over 18 charter schools in the US. We serve 4 manufacturing businesses. We serve 6 logistic companies. The list goes on. And these companies are using us for payroll as well as our pay card for employee incentives and payroll advances. We have a very active sales team that is actively adding new clients each month. And I would say that new payroll acquisitions are definitely not off the table either. So a few more of those may be coming as well, which will further boost our client base.
Awesome. Love to see it. Love to hear that there are more clients coming to the books. It's very, very exciting. Okay, last one here, and this is just a bit of a silly one. So, but we wanted to include it. Robbie Mitchnick from BlackRock. Understand that you guys know one another. What's the deal there? How does that work?
Well, this is definitely an interesting and unexpected question.
Sorry, I just wanted to throw a left field one in there.
No, I love it. I mean, Robbie's actually a classmate of mine, or was a classmate of mine, and a personal friend as well. We've known each other for over 10 years. As a fellow, what I would call big picture thinker, we both entered crypto years ago, while many of our friends and classmates in university took jobs on Wall Street and other areas of TradFi. I mean, both of us actually did start in TradFi before we made the jump to crypto. And it's really good to see him now leading the Web3 efforts at the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock.
Awesome. Love that. Sorry to throw a bit of a rogue one in there.
No,
JJ and I were laughing about
always fun to get some curveballs. So,
okay. Well, look, I think we are. Yeah, we're pretty much there. Like, I don't know. Maybe just time for a very quick summary, Simon, and then we can leave. We can finish up.
Great. Well, I think we had fantastic turnout today. I know we missed a week of spaces. Of course, we were very busy at the conference in Cannes. But as you mentioned earlier, Ben, it's great to get back to the weekly cadence. We have some really good spaces planned for this month, which we'll be announcing soon, with some very big partners joining as well. So everyone keep an eye on our Twitter. And yes, we'll have some updates from the UK Parliament tomorrow after Neil and I have completed our speaking session over there, and we'll be sharing that with the community too.
Love that. What time is that tomorrow? Like, what time are you going in?
Our session starts at 12:30 p.m. UK time.
Love it.
So we will be there for most of the day. Very exciting.
I'm really, really stoked for you, man. I can't wait to hear all about it. Make sure that you capture as much content as possible. Look forward to seeing it out there. Okay, well, look, that is a pretty comprehensive roundup. Let's get everyone back on the same level playing field here in terms of where we're going and what we're doing. As Simon says, looking forward to hosting some more spaces this month and going into August also, really focusing on different exciting aspects and elements within the Web3 and DeFi space. I want to thank Sam for coming up. Really good to see you, Sam. Really appreciate you doing it. Come back, chat with us more often.
Of course, of course.
Totally appreciate how busy you are, though, but great. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Also, Stelios, welcome. Really, really exciting to see someone with such an incredible TradFi background come in and join the charge. Really, really excited to see what you are doing there, and really, really excited to see how that super app starts to come together. And we should absolutely, when there's a bit more to talk about, we should come up and talk about it again. So thank you and welcome. And then to you, Simon, thank you. Appreciate you taking the time like you do to answer all of these questions. I'm looking forward to focusing now on some other bits within the Web3 and DeFi space. And then that just leaves me to say thank you to everyone for coming out and joining us today. Really appreciate such a huge turnout. Yeah, great stuff. JJ, when you are ready, sir, let's finish up and say goodbye.
Yep. So again, thank you guys for showing up on a Wednesday in the middle of the day, and then obviously thank you to all of our speakers. Ben for hosting as always. Really appreciate your work. And yeah, until next time. Again, stay tuned for tomorrow. We're going to be at the Parliament at the House of Lords, so we'll bring you guys a couple more updates between tomorrow and Friday as well. So stay tuned for that. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, so I don't know. That last question, like the second to last question about who all is how do we know, like, who are these companies that you're doing that are doing payroll underneath Zebec? It's like, oh well, we got Paybridge, but he didn't really mention any specific companies. I guess I got to go back. I don't know. He said to go back into some other presentations, but I never remember any specific companies being paid by him. But that's the thing, is that if you acquire Paybridge, and Paybridge already has a bunch of people underneath that they're servicing for payroll, and then you just slide your system right suite there in the mix, I mean, it's going to have to come down to the acquisitions. Are they going to be able to get more people on? Which I think so. I don't know. Sam seemed pretty adamant about wanting to be the first one in the space. So, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. And then the whole thing with him knowing Mitchnick from BlackRock, I think a lot of people were speculating that somehow that there was maybe a partnership in the mix, and or some sort of, you know, some sort of talks. I think that's what people were hoping, not just, oh yeah, we're school buddies. I mean, interesting to know. Interesting little shinfo. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. The price did numbers right now. Let's take a look at the charts really fast. Let's see what the charts are looking like. Let's see here. Go to this. Alright, let's get TradingView pulled up really fast. See what the prices are looking like, because it ended up doing some pretty good numbers. It was putting some numbers up, I should say. Let's see. Let's get TradingView pulled up real fast. So right now it is sitting at after this news, it is sitting at 00367. And it finally, after doing a 7x, it ended up coming down and finally finding a bottom at I think 2.2. I think it was 2.2 here. Yeah, 0.0022. I'm trying to find it, but I can't find it. Two three. 0.0023038. I'm sure it's probably different on different exchanges, but yeah, definitely. So it went all the way down to 2.3, and now it's at 3.6. So all the way from 007, 006 something. But TradingView's not loading. But Yeah, it ended up putting up some numbers though. Definitely ended up putting up some numbers. 26% on the day.